Do you believe, though, Mr. President, that many police treat black people differently from white people?
Well, I hope not. I hope not. Certainly
You've seen the statistics.
The knee on the neck was a disgrace, okay?
Yeah.
That was a disgrace.
I'm talking about, what does systemic racism mean to you?
I hope the answer to that question is no. Does anybody really answer that question accurately?
But what about not hope?
Really know?
What about analysis? What's your cold-hearted view
I have
of it?
seen where there is a difference, and I don't want there to be a difference. I don't like that there would be a difference. But with that being said,
why do you think black men are 2.5 times?
White people.
I know, but why do you think black
in
men?
a larger number
in quantity
police have killed white people.
But why do you think black men are 2.5 times more likely to be killed by police than white men?
That I don't know, but
Why? Why do you
I
think
don't
that?
like it.
But you must have thought about it.
Why? I don't know why, but I don't like it. I do know this.
Does it speak to something
police
systemic?
Have killed many white people also.
But proportionally, what does it speak to?
It speaks to something, if that's the number, you're telling
It is the
me a
number.
number. Okay, if that's the number, it speaks to something that to me is unacceptable.
President Trump attempting to discuss systemic racism with Jonathan Swan of Axios a couple of days ago. I believe, thanks to a pair of soup cans and some string, we have Ibram Kendi back with us. Ibram, I feel you. My power's out too. I'm running on a generator right now with 3 trees down in the yard. So I understand you took a power hit, but we're glad you're back. Eddie Glaude and I did our very best to convey your piece, but better to hear it from you. So I'll let you lay it out exactly why you see this as an opportunity right now to defeat racism.
Well, really, the heartbeat of racism itself is denial. And I think President Trump, more than any other American figure in recent history, has allowed Americans to see that heartbeat in all of its ugliness. You know, I think when you look at the Trump political career, you see a person who was classifying the president of the United States before him as not American, who called for congresswomen of color, who said that they needed to go back to their homes, who classified nations in Africa and even Latin America in ways we shouldn't want to say on national TV. But then when he was challenged for saying those racist ideas, his typical response was, "I'm not racist." And indeed, he said, "I'm the least racist person anywhere in the world." He says, "I'm the least racist person you've ever interviewed, the least racist person you've ever encountered." So the relationship between practicing racism, between expressing racist ideas and denying that racism has really, Trump has put a mirror for all Americans to see, and they don't like it. And they recognize that when they express a racist idea and then say, "I'm not racist," they're acting like Trump. And I think many Americans have decided to stop denying racism because they see that the president consistently denies his own racism. And obviously, once we stop denying a problem exists, then we can start the hard work of fixing it.
Ibram, Shauna Thomas has a question for you. Shauna?
Good morning. I think COVID-19 has laid bare this idea of the haves and the have-nots and how wide the gulf is in this country. I think George Floyd and the protests we've seen have also laid bare the systemic racism issue we have in this country, which we all knew existed, but now it's in front of our faces. As we move forward and let's say we get a vaccine and, you know, some of the protesting stops, how do we take these lessons that are in everyone's faces and actually do something about these issues that you point out? How do we use these lessons?
I think that 76% of respondents to a Monmouth survey, I believe in June, said that racism is a big problem. And so what that means is we need to have big solutions to this big problem. If the problem is COVID racial disparities, black people being 2.5 times more likely to die of COVID-19, we need to realize that it's not because there's something wrong with black people. it's because there's something wrong with our policies. There's something wrong with society. There's something wrong with that black and brown people are more likely to have to essentially be essential workers. They can't work from home, or they're more likely to live in polluted neighborhoods. They're less likely to have access to health insurance or high quality care. And those are systemic issues that need to be changed.
Eddie Glaude, your turn, my friend.
Brother Ibram, it's so great to see you this morning. And so I have this question that I've been grappling with. I think you're right that we're seeing this extraordinary kind of confrontation with the ugliness that has driven our politics and driven this society for so long. But then you have Fox News, and then you have millions of Americans who are not only deny, but who are comfortable in their denial. They are comfortable existing in a particular kind of discursive space around race and racism. How might this moment, how do you respond to them? 38%, maybe 40% of the country who's comfortable in their support of Donald Trump?
Well, I think we should first and foremost figure out why. What is propelling them? And so, for instance, if they're a white working class male who has been struggling economically and have been told that the cause of their economic pain are Latinx immigrants or black people or so-called Muslim terrorists, then I think it's critically important for their loved ones to show them definitively that indeed it's actually Trump's policies that is contributing to their pain more than the people who are struggling even more than they are. And so I think that we really, obviously, that's why I think the President of the United States has attacked fact itself, has attacked truth, has attacked, analysis and evidence, because he knows that even for his supporters, that if we provide them with evidence and data, we will show them that he is actually the true source of their pain, not people who don't look like them.
Ibram, Mike Barnicle has a question for you. Mike?
Okay, I'm sorry.
Mr. Kendi, in years of covering the city where you sit now, Boston, Massachusetts, two words that begin with A always struck me. One is awareness, the awareness of what happens within the black community. And I'm not just talking about violence, Friday night, Saturday night shootings. I'm talking about the awareness of institutions that don't respond to people, which is violence in and of itself in a separate way. The other word that begins with A that I twin with awareness is access. And in this case, the lack of access to health insurance, to good schools, to good jobs, to better incomes. The access that means that you can walk into a company and apply for a job and not be looked at as someone different, as they. What do we do about improving access? We've improved awareness. The demographics of this country have greatly changed. We've improved awareness. But what can we do to improve access?
Well, I think first and foremost, when we think about access, we're typically thinking about policies. So, policies determine sort of who has access, or in many cases in American history, who is being denied access. And so I think that we need to be razor focused on asking the question, is this policy that's being proposed, is this policy that's on the books creating equal access for all, or only creating access for a few? And is that few predominantly white? And I think that's the types of questions we need to be asking. And so that's why those who are demanding policies that increase access for all of us, for every single American, no matter what they look like, no matter how they worship, no matter who they love. I mean, those are the types of policies we need to be advocating for, and those are the types of policies black folks have been pushing for, because they know that as access increases for everyone, access is going to increase for them.
Ibram X. Kendi, we really appreciate you being on. We appreciate your hustle getting back on the air for us this morning. Thanks so much. Ibram's piece is one of the cover stories for the new issue of The Atlantic magazine, and his best-selling book is How to Be an Anti-Racist. Ibram, thanks so much.
Thanks for checking out MSNBC on YouTube, and make sure you subscribe to stay up to date on the day's biggest stories. And you can click on any of the videos around us to watch more from Morning Joe and MSNBC. Thanks so much for watching.